Good morning, friends, and welcome to day 6 of Milk Thistle Vlogmas. My name is Kate, and yep, that's about it. My laundry basket just fell over. So I'm having a super exciting day today. I went to yoga this morning, just got back. I'm washing my sheets and doing laundry and all that kind of exciting stuff. But today is the day that I am baking Christmas cakes, so I will be sure to show you that tradition that I have. Yeah, just see where the day takes us. I'm just having a little bit of lunch. So I just had a shower, my delightfully half wet hair. It'll dry eventually. It's a bit humid here today, so it takes a while to dry. So with my lunch, I have a cup of tea in my little Santa mug, my little fat Santa mug. Isn't he adorable? And I have a raspberry rush with some unsweetened almond milk in there. But I always hold my mug in my right hand, which means Santa faces me. So every time I take a sip, I feel like I'm giving Santa a kiss on the head. Like you were such good friends, hey? Hey, little buddy. So we are gonna cook some Christmas cakes. I've got everything ready. And yeah, we're gonna make 3 small cakes. This is also enough to make 1 large and 1 small cake. So we have butter, brown sugar, eggs, mixed fruit, which is a combination of sultanas, currants, glacéed cherries, mixed peel, which is citrus peel that has been lightly candied. I think there's also, no, that's about it. More glacéed cherries, raspberry jam, nutmeg, glacé pineapple, almond essence, Parisian essence, vanilla extract, rum, and more sultanas. There's also some flour in there. And some mixed spices. Mixed spices are coriander, cinnamon, casala, ginger, cloves. So very traditional. Yeah. Let's get cooking. So today I'm going to make my Nanna's boiled fruit cake, which just means you boil all the fruit together and then you make a cake out of it, rather than not cooking the fruit. So it doesn't, by cooking the fruit in with the butter and the sugar and some water, everything plumps up and all the flavors absorb into the fruit, rather than it just being a dried fruit in a spiced cake batter. So it's just got a more intense flavor, and yeah. Anyway, it's a family tradition. I've made at least one every year since I was 13 or 14, and before that I used to help Nanna in the kitchen every Christmas. She always made one for her and granddad, and then one for each of her 3 children's family. And I carried on that tradition for her when she wasn't able to lift the heavy things in the kitchen. We would do it together, and then when she got too sick, she would sit in the living room just next to the kitchen and we'd chat away while I was cooking. And eventually when she passed away, I still do it. So they are delicious cakes. I know last year I spoke about them, and there is a copy of the recipe in the Ravelry group, which I will put a link to that down below. I'll open a new thread, so if anybody is interested. I use like bunny ears around recipe because this is the most loosely followed recipe. If you like more or less of something or whatever, you can change it really easily. Nanna rarely stuck to the recipe, and everybody who makes it puts their own little spin on it. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab my saucepan and put it here because this is where all my ingredients are. It'll make it easier. We are going to add the butter and brown sugar. The mixed fruit. The sultanas. I have a tablespoon and a half of raspberry jam. And, glacé cherries and pineapple. Now you can use a combination of red and green glacé cherries for this, but the people I'm making these ones for, they like red cherries better than green, so we're going with red cherries. I also threw a couple extra in because my mom's cake is in here and she loves glacé cherries. Then you want water. There's about, I'm not going to give you quantities just because, like I said, it's very flexible. I will give you the general ingredient list in the Ravelry group, but I've obviously modified this to make the number of cakes that I want to make. So it's quite a large batch. Yeah, then just some spices. So I'm going to grate in some fresh nutmeg and put in some mixed spice, and then I'll chuck it on the stove. So you just let that come to the boil, then you let it cool down, and then you add in all the other bits, but I'll show you as we go along. It's a really easy recipe to follow. It just takes time and patience. Because it is such a dense, large cake, you have to cook it over a long period of time at quite a low temperature to make sure that the inside is cooked without the outside burning. But yeah, I've made quite a few, I've burnt quite a few. The house that I grew up in had a commercial oven kitchen thing, but the oven we had, while it made great roast veggies and, you know, cooked savory things very well, it was difficult to not burn cakes in it. So I would always make the cakes in Nanna and Granddad's oven, and then the year Nanna passed, I tried to make them at home, and I burnt the first one, so I went over to my aunt's house and she had a lovely new kitchen with a fancy new oven that I could fit 2 cakes at a time in, and they still cooked evenly, which was great, especially considering the cakes take like 3 and a bit hours to cook generally. These ones will be a little less because I'm doing half quantity cakes. So I'm doing 3 half quantity cakes. The traditional size is quite large and it takes a really long time to cook all the way through to the middle. But actually it was really funny when I was cooking these at my aunt's house, so my mum's sister. She came through and she came up to me with a little saucer, like a teacup and saucer. She came up with a saucer and a spoon and kind of looked at me. And it was after I so you boil all the fruit and the sugars and all that together, and then you add the essences and the rum, and it's this really, really delicious syrupy, fruity goodness. And she kind of took a little spoon and put it on her saucer and ate it with her teaspoon. And then she left and went about her business, and Mum stopped by maybe 20 minutes later, and you have to let that mixture cool down before you can start the next part of the process. And she did the exact same thing. She came up to me with her little saucer and her little teaspoon. So I get the impression that when they were little, Nana would only let them have a little bit so they'd savor it on their little teaspoon and saucer. So my mom is not here today, but I will have to save her a little bit of the boiled goodness because it is really delicious. It's really good on ice cream, actually. So I added all the essences and the rum, and this is a very important part of the process. We're currently on my front step and it has to cool down. So Nana always used to put it on her back step, but I have puppies that live out there and who would stick their nose in it. So we have an outdoor Christmas tree, or a Christmas tree at our front door this year. So it can cool out here for a little while. And I'll go line the tins and catch up with you again soon. I have saved just the tiniest bit in a tiny saucer with a tiny spoon for my mum.